What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Grady and I listen to country music and whatever else I want to. And today is the #1 most requested video of all time on this channel. My 10 favorite country songs. That's what you guys have been asking for over and over and over again, and I'm ready to share. I've been working on this list for like a few months and trying to aggregate what are the 10 songs that kind of represent my favorite country music ever. And so let's get into this list, but first let me go through kind of the parameters by which I made the list. #1, I'm doing only singles. I needed some way to kind of narrow this down, and I want as many people to be able to engage with this list as possible, so I wanted to do songs that were recognizable to people. The second thing is that there's only one song per artist on this video. So even though there might be a couple songs by a couple artists where two of their songs would make the top of my list, I'm just going to do one per artist for the sake of the video. Otherwise, let's just jump into it, and I think you guys will see it's a pretty eclectic mix of songs. At number 10, On the Road Again by Willie Nelson.
The life I love is making music with my friends.
Now, there's not many lyrics in this song. It's a very simple little road trip song that Willie Nelson wrote for the film Honeysuckle Rose, which he also starred in. It's got a nice little train beat that kind of keeps things moving along like you're on the road. And it is a simple song about his enjoyment of being a traveling musician. He says, like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends. Now, the song about the traveling musician is a well-worn tradition within country music, and usually there's a bit of sadness, there's a little bit of pain about being on the road and away from your family, but this song is much like Willie Nelson, just kind of an upbeat, happy track about how he likes being on the road. And to me, it is the ultimate feel-good song while driving. It's like Cruise. You know what Cruise does by Florida Georgia Line for a lot of people, makes them want to roll their windows down and cruise. That's kind of what On the Road Again does for me. At number 9 on my list, It's All Right by Darius Rucker. Now, Darius Rucker of Hootie and the Blowfish fame has very successfully transitioned into being a country star, and this song came out in 2008, and I have loved it since the first time I heard it. It totally reminds me of college when I was starting to get back into country music, and it always puts a smile on my face. Now, the reason I like All Right is not just the very likable vocal and that kind of conversational tone that Darius Rucker sings with, but it's also that fact that I think it is musically just buoyant. It makes me feel joyous when I hear this song, and lyrically, I think it's a way smarter song than it looks like on the surface. It's full of specific little details that paint the picture of why Darius is feeling all right about his life. He says, I don't need 5-star reservations, I've got spaghetti and a cheap bottle of wine. Immediately, in the very first line of the song, we got spaghetti. That's a fun word. We talk about the best of Patsy Cline. We mentioned caviar and Dom Perignon, French Rivieras. I think there's a lot of excellent wordplay in the verses of these songs. And then on the chorus, we go super broad, super happy, and use really simple imagery like a roof over my head, the woman I love laying in my bed. And that hook, it's all right, all right. Gosh, it takes some sort of brilliance to write something that broad, but that universal at the same time, because we've all had this moment of just pressing pause, looking around us and being like, you know, I've got it all right. At number 8, it's Wide Open Spaces by the Dixie Chicks.
Wide open spaces.
Wide Open Spaces is much in the same vein as On the Road Again and All Right. I think I'm seeing a trend here. Is a really, really happy song, but it's also undergirded by a bit of pain. So this is a song about a girl that just needs space. And it even starts with this line inviting you to empathize. It says, who doesn't know what I'm talking about? Who's never left home? Who's never struck out to find a dream and a life of their own? A peace in the clouds, a foundation of stone. It's about you needed the open sky, you need the mountains underneath you, and you need to kind of go west. Or, you know, I always think you need to go west because I grew up on the East Coast. But when I get in my car and I hit 64 West, I feel this feeling of relief that this song kind of captures. This song feels like, you know, a big ray of sunshine that's just beamed down upon you. And it's irresistible. It's irresistible, and you've got the gorgeous fiddle, and you've got the kind of open arrangement. It's not so overproduced. It feels open, much like what it's singing about. My high school English teacher, Mr. Hale, used to say that good writing is onomatopoetic. What he meant by that was that the words you're writing should reflect what they're conveying. So let's say I was hyperventilating in a story. that means you're taking lots of short breaths. So maybe your sentences look that way. Maybe you'd say, I can't breathe. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. That would convey the idea that you're hyperventilating. I think actually something similar happens with good music, where the music reflects what the lyrics are conveying at its best. And on this song, that arrangement to me feels wide open. When the fiddle comes in, and it's just broad and open and happy, I feel like it conveys this idea of wide open spaces. I think this song is also, I grew up hearing a lot of women singing country music, with Jody Messina, with Faith Hill, with Dixie Chicks, and it's part of what makes me so frustrated that you can so rarely hear a woman on mainstream radio today, because I had all this awesome music to listen to when I was growing up. Now, at number 7, and I'm truly not trolling with this one since I just did the Dixie Chicks, but it's Toby Keith's Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue.
My daddy served in the army, we lost his right.
Now, there's probably no song on this list that's going to annoy people more than this one, but if I'm being honest, there's no song on this list that is more the reason I am a music fan. Because when 9/11 happened, I was in 6th grade, and I didn't know how to feel about it. And I kind of felt like I was treated with kid gloves by all of the teachers and all of the faculty, with the exception of one. And I think when I heard Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, and I heard this man express a patriotic anger and a threat to retaliate when he says,
"'Cause we'll put a boot in your ass, it's the American way."
I think I didn't know I was experiencing that emotion. And maybe that emotion is a little bit nativist. And maybe that emotion was informed by the politics of the people around me and all that. I don't know. All that stuff is at play. But at the same time, it expressed something I legitimately felt. And I was like, whoa, an artist is saying something that I don't know that I would have known how to say. I mean, I was 12. But I think that it was kind of exuberant and trolly and funny in a way that was kind of predating internet humor. But I also think that the story that Toby Keith is telling in the song, beyond just the big line, "We put a boot in your ass, it's the American way," one about his father serving in the army, one about being proud of the country that he's from, that's a narrative that resonates with me to this day. And it's a thing that I think a lot of people feel. And I think this song captures it really well. I think when the bridge gets real quiet and then you come back with the big Liberty Bell kind of sounds at the end with the chimes, it's an incredibly effective piece of music. I see why it pissed so many people off, but it demonstrated the power of music to me. It helped me feel real as a person that's allowed to feel things, including anger, including patriotism. Whether it's the best version of patriotism, that's up to you, but this is my list. At number 6, it's Hurt by Johnny Cash.
I hurt myself today.
Now, I found Johnny Cash late in my life because, I didn't grow up with him, but he has since become one of the real heroes to me within country music, for his work in prison reform, for his really candid struggles with alcoholism, for his care for the weak and lowly. I'm in the middle of his autobiography, so I'm real steeped in it. But Hurt was the first moment that I really was able to sit up and take him seriously in real time. I'd heard Ring of Fire, I'd heard stuff like Jackson, but when I saw the music video for Hurt, which is a cover of a Nine Inch Nails song, I was profoundly saddened by it. I was sort of shocked, even as a kid, at the sadness of this video. I mean, here you have a man near the end of his life who sounds kind of croaky, sitting in his own museum, which has been closed down. In some ways, this one is just as much of an entry about the music video. But Johnny Cash is sitting in the Johnny Cash Museum, which has been closed down. He's singing about his empire of dirt. And it's like you're reading the book of Ecclesiastes as he's reflecting on his meaninglessness. Like, what was it all for? I'm going to let everyone down. I'm going to make them hurt. And this is all I have? It's this extremely, extremely dark and sad moment from a legend of music. And a real, shockingly honest invitation to think a little more deeply about your life, because it doesn't add up to all that much, at least not according to him. It is sad. I get sad just sitting here thinking about it. At number 5, Something Like That by Tim McGraw.
Labor Day weekend, I was 17. I bought a Coke and some gas.
Now, to get us way out of the sad vibes of Hurt, Something Like That is, better known to a lot of people as I Had a Barbecue Stain on My White T-Shirt. This is Tim McGraw just being a horn dog at the county fair. Maybe being a horn dog while eating a corn dog and spilling barbecue sauce on his shirt while just going after some girl on a hot summer night. You know, this is a song that just feels like summer. It is so happy. It has one of the like most recognizable sort of musical intros of any song, that kind of as soon as you hear that, you know exactly what the song is, and you know you're in for a good time. That electric guitar comes in and you just want to get moving. I can't think of a song that is kind of walking the line of stupid sing-along and true earnest, heartfelt feeling that is captured better than this song. In some ways, this song is like a Pinterest board of summer images. You know, you've got the barbecue stain, you've got her mini skirt, you've got skipping rocks, you've got the railroad tracks. It just is kind of a pastiche of images of summer that add up to more than the sum of their parts, if you know what I mean. It paints a very nostalgic kind of picture and something that's celebratory as well, but not something that is, it's hard to write a song this broad, but it's so fun. And Tim McGraw's got a kind of like aw shucksy sort of tone in his voice that he doesn't always sing with that really sell the song. At number 4, speaking of aw shucks voices, it's Garth Brooks' Unanswered Prayers.
Just the other night at a hometown football game.
Unanswered Prayers marked the first time I heard a country song and was really shocked by the twist in the lyrics. Now I recognize that as something that happens pretty often in country music. But when I heard Unanswered Prayers for the first time, and you get this narrator that is singing about this girl that all he wants in his high school life is for her to love him back. All he wants is her affection in return, and he's pining after her, and he's praying every night that she would feel the same way about him. And he says, God, if you grant me this wish, I'll never ask for anything again. And then you get this dramatic pause and that switch of sometimes I thank God
for unanswered prayers.
And you realize we have fast forwarded in the song and he's happy that this relationship didn't work out because now he's in a better place with the girl that he should be with. I mean, I don't remember how old I was. I think I was like 10 or 11 when I heard this, but my mind was blown. And I was like, who is this extraordinarily charismatic singer whose voice almost borders on goofy? I want him to like read me audiobooks. And it was Garth Brooks, and that's what he does best. He tells these kind of daddish, nostalgic stories, and he is so engaging. He was so invitational for me as a fledgling little country fan to get in deeper. And this song, I will always just remember the moment. I remember sitting in my dad's car, and he had a double live by Garth, and so the live version of this song is so exciting. He was playing on cassette tape. I don't think I'd experienced a twist musically like that before, and I immediately became more attuned to songwriting. So we got 3 left, but before we get into them, I want to do a couple honorable mentions, and they're brought to you by the sponsor of today's video, Flag and Anthem. Now, Flag and Anthem is a premium menswear company. They have sort of vintage, Western-inspired clothes. Their clothes, I love them. They're not too boxy. They're not too trim. They just fit well. They're super soft. They're really high quality. Dierks Bentley, who I know all of you say I kind of look like, he has a line called Desert Sun with Flag and Anthem. That's where this shirt comes from. And it's just good stuff. So I got a coupon code for them. I got a link. That's all in the description. But go check them out, and thank you for sponsoring the video. So without further ado, let's get into the honorable mentions. Boot Scootin' Boogie by Brooks and Dunn. This was a real seminal song within my family because I have a sister named Scotty who we all call Scooty. That's her nickname. So Boot Scootin' Scooty was, a thing that we sang. I would also say This Side by Nickel Creek was a really formative song for me. It's kind of a random one, but that is what introduced me to my love of the sound in a mandolin and kind of pushed me in a more bluegrassy direction. Kerosene by Miranda Lambert, so much honestly by Miranda Lambert, but Kerosene was the one that I first remember being like, who is this Spitfire? And she has interesting things to say, and it's fiery and rockin'. That and Greyhound Bound for Nowhere. I watched that season of Nashville Star. I would also put Traveling Alone by Jason Isbell on here. Really, I would not be writing about country music if I hadn't gotten into writing about it at Entertainment Weekly in 2013. And a big piece of that was hearing this Jason Isbell record, Southeastern. And that song, Traveling Alone, was the first one I heard, and it stopped me in my tracks. I said, this record is amazing. And then I started to look into Dave Cobb, and he just produced Sturgill Simpson, and he just produced Lindy Ortega, and I loved all those records. And I realized there was this interesting thing happening with country music where it was getting really well-made stuff kind of in the alternative and indie scene, and this was at the peak of bro country at the time. I found that dichotomy fascinating. I still find it fascinating. It's what got me into writing about country music and thinking about it critically years ago. And here I am today, now just doing it on YouTube. There's a million other songs I could name in some of my very, very top favorite country songs. A lot of them are sad. We got Whiskey Lullaby. We got People Get Old by Lori McKenna. We got so many, but, you know, I'm not going to be able to cover them all in this video. At number 3 on the list, it's Waiting on June by Holly Williams.
She was from North Louisiana in the town of Marouge. I fell in love.
Now, I'm not sure that everyone watching this video will know this song. Holly Williams, I think, is one of the most underrated artists of our time. She is the granddaughter of Hank Williams and the daughter of Hank Williams Jr., and the talent did not skip a generation whatsoever. And even though she has this famous father and grandfather, she actually wrote this song, Waiting on June, about her mother's side of the family, the one that doesn't get as much attention. This is a song written from the point of view of her maternal grandfather, and it is to his wife. So she's writing from the perspective of her grandpa for her grandma, June. And this song is an opus. It's like the most romantic song I've ever heard. It's like a 7-minute, gorgeous story of their life that goes through war, that goes through having their first home together, that goes through meeting in the sandbox and death and nursing homes and guys, I'm telling you, I get teary thinking about it. I swear to you, it is a romantic opus, and you should absolutely go check it out. No spoilers from me, but her kind of gravelly delivery of it, plus sort of the strangeness of hearing a girl sing from her grandfather's point of view about her grandmother, there's just ways in which this song is super interesting, and I hope that in time it is remembered and revered as one of the great country songs that was written in the 2000s. Because I think it absolutely is one of them. And number 2, it's Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton.
In my coat of many colors, Mama made for me.
Now, Dolly Parton is obviously one of the great artists in any genre of my lifetime. She is wildly creative, has an incredibly prolific career, an intense work ethic, and the best attitude. No one is ever mad at Dolly Parton. She's incredibly charitable, and she has written some of the biggest, most career-defining hits ever. Whether it's Jolene, whether it's I Will Always Love You, or 9 to 5, she has iconic hits. And within country music, she's always been taken seriously, despite the fact that she's a woman, despite the fact that she kind of wears these gaudy outfits and is festooned by butterflies and fringe and rainbows and all this. Dolly Parton, everyone sees her talent and respects it. And to me, it's on display nowhere better than the song Coat of Many Colors. Coat of Many Colors is a simple little story song about Dolly Parton growing up with nothing, which is true to her life, and her mother sewing rags together to make a coat for her. And she couldn't understand why the kids at school didn't admire the coat the way she did, because she revered it. It made her feel like Joseph with his coat of many colors that she'd read about in the Bible. And she kind of is putting her perspective out there as someone with a positive outlook on her life. She says,
One is only poor, only if you choose to be.
and so she can't understand why they're laughing because she felt rich. So this is a song about her resilience. And it's a song that's really, really so beautiful and tender and simple. All it takes is a little bit of guitar and that kind of willowy, gorgeous Dolly Parton vocal to sell the whole thing. All of the qualities that make her so special, her kind of perspective on small town America, her sort of reverence for that life and for the Bible and for the human goodness within people and their propensity to hurt each other, all of it is captured in Coat of Many Colors. And now my number 1 most favorite country song ever. It's Deeper Than the Holler by Randy Travis.
My love is deeper than the holler.
This song is really number 1 on my list because of one word in the song, and that's whippoorwill. I heard the song Deeper Than the Holler when I was 4 years old for the first time. My dad played it on the way back from soccer practice, and I remember hearing the word whippoorwill at the end of this chorus. And for months, if not years, all I wanted was to hear the whippoorwill song. Because when you're 4 and you don't know what that means, whippoorwill is a fun word to say. And so I would just say, play the whippoorwill song, play the whippoorwill song. And I became very engaged by the natural imagery within this song, where my love is deeper than the holler. I didn't even know what a holler was. Now I know it's a valley. He's using country boy words to describe a city boy sonnet of love. And so he wants this girl, and he wants her with a passion that is deeper than the holler and stronger than the river and higher than the pine trees, purer than the snowflakes, honest as a robin, and longer than the call of a whippoorwill. I mean, it's this clever, gorgeous little poem. It's like a psalm almost, painting a picture of Earth and of his love. The lovely little fiddle melody captures my imagination every single time. And Randy Travis's voice is so good. He goes so low. Oh, my love is deeper than the holler. And so we're getting that onomatopoetic thing again. We're going deep when we're singing deeper. And he goes high when he's singing about higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. It's so pretty. It's so smart. Everything in that song is so smart. I see why he helped kind of course correct for country music, and he made a fan out of me for life. And so I'll always love that song. I'll always think of my dad's station wagon, and I'll always be thankful that I got to hear Deeper Than the Holler. So that's my list, you guys. Those are my top 10 favorite country songs of all time. I would love to know yours. It's not an easy task. Be warned, it's not an easy task, because you want to get some history in there. You also want to be honest. You want to get, you're obviously going to have like a disproportionate amount of fandom level for the songs that you grew up with, and so it was a challenging task, but I'm really glad I did it. I hope if there's even one song on this list that you haven't heard that you're glad to check out, I hope you find it. I hope you love it. And I hope we just continue building a great country music community here on YouTube, because there's so much great music and I'm so thankful for them. And I'm so thankful for this hobby of keeping up with it. So if you want to talk more about it with me, you all know my social medias. They're linked down below. You can listen to my podcast. You can support me on Patreon. People that support at $3 or more a month get an extra podcast episode each month. And there's a million ways to stay in touch, or just click subscribe and like this video. All those things. A million ways to talk about country here on the net, and let's keep doing it. All right, bye guys.